This is Truth Be Told.
That not only are there reptilians here,
new evidence of UFO fleets.
We were close to nuclear war.
To help you transform so that you can live your highest truth.
We're not being told just because we're not ready for it.
Geostations of frequency, vibrational.
I was a homicide detective with LAPD.
UFOs increase. Visitations. Well, all I know is I can't get my voice as low as Jimmy Church, or my hair is long. But I have admired this man for a long time. Today on the show we have radio host, TV host, film star, you name it, Jimmy does it. Today we have Jimmy Church on the show talking about his new Gaia TV series, Into the Vortex, where Jimmy's going to help us travel deep into the universe and hopefully find out some answers. Jimmy's going to interview experts to unravel the great mysteries and questions of our time. If anyone can find the answers, Jimmy's the one that can do it. Well, I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. Please welcome to the Truth Be Told studios for the manyth time, the one and only TV host, radio host of Fade to Black and Into the Vortex, Jimmy Church. Well,
yay.
What's going on, Jimmy?
How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing great.
Here, man. Good to be here.
It's been a while since you've been on the show, and I'm glad you're back. And I see you got your coffee. Do your plug. There you go. Well, I'm excited to have you here, Jimmy. Congratulations. You've been done a lot of things over your life, but now you are on Gaia with your Into the Vortex TV show, and the guests are amazing. Your insight's amazing, and tell me how this all came about. And
that's just like anything, Tony. You know, it's there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and there's a lot of work. When the show finally airs, that's what the audience sees, but they don't have any idea of what the real story is behind it. And some of this has kind of been mentioned publicly, but the real answer to this is Sid Goldberg, our executive producer of the show over at Gaia. Sid and I have known each other for almost 10 years. And we started talking about the show that you see now about 6 years ago. And wow. we had the ambition to work with each other. We have great respect for each other, and we're really good friends. But we started talking about it and went back and forth. And through that period, I was dealing with contracts and other networks and other projects right. and stuff that was going on. And it just made things complicated, but we wanted to do it, and we kept talking about it in the background. And I don't want to, sound like there was some kind of collusion or conflict of interest with contracts and networks and things like that. But the truth to be told here is that we understood each other, and we had great respect for each other, and we wanted to do something, but we just couldn't get it together. And then about 2 years ago, the opportunity, it was like the seas parted, right? And right. It was like, okay, this may be go time. And when we started to have these conversations and getting agents involved and executives involved and things, where all of us kind of stepped back and said, okay, are we actually, let's not mess with each other here, because if right. we go, we go. And so we had a couple of meetings where we sat down, and this is the little nugget that is my gift to you today and to everybody else. This is how it went down. We get together. We're in an office setting, boardroom setting, and I said, okay, what are your ideas? Okay, let's do something original here. And so I hear from Executive One, And the idea is very similar to what is in my head. They don't know this yet, right? Go to executive number 2. Sounds very similar. And go to, let's Sid.
Right.
He gives his idea. And I sit back and I said, now, this is my idea. You guys have stolen my idea. So what it sounds like to me is we're all on the same page because this is my idea. And I laid it out. And we were all about, and this never happens in network television, as you know, where we were about 95% creatively on the same page. And
that's
so
unusual.
It's very unusual. And I said at the end of that, and we shake hands, and now we're going to the next stage of things. But I said, okay, if this is where we are, where we've got the vision and the artistic side set, that's the hard part, right? That's really the setting up a shooting schedule and booking guests and negotiations and contracts. That's all logistics. That stuff will work itself out. But if you get the creative thing out of the way first, where we're all comfortable and happy and all of that, there you go. And it happened like that. And so we had about a year of pre-production. Now the show just aired, premiered on November 7th last month. But we had, and so you've got a year of shooting and production and building sets and all of that. But before that, there was everything else creatively putting this thing together. And we did test shoots, we did auditions, and we did, and went through all of that. Ultimately, what I wanted is exactly what we have got here. And it's what Gaia had envisioned too, which is, what do I do best? I yap, right? I talk. And so if we could just sit down and roll the cameras, no edits, and get an unbroken burst of conversation and get that out to the audience as it happens in real time, that will be a show that is going to take people unexpected. Number one, they're not, it's not going to be slick and edited and all this stuff and graphics and no, this is a conversation. Yeah. And so let's do it that way. And that's what Into the Vortex is. And so when you see a show that is 30 or 40 minutes long, we taped for 30 or 40 minutes. There's no outtakes. There's no retakes. There isn't, let's cut, let's redo that. No, mistakes are in there, right? I don't enunciate. I'm not a big vocabulary guy.
Just like me.
Yeah, right. And like we're doing right now. Right. And so what I do, like what we're doing right now, each night on Fade to Black, as everybody knows by now, hopefully, is that's a live show. You don't have an opportunity to go, oh, you know what, bad answer, or you said something wrong, or said a bad word, or whatever. We're going to pause. We're going to do another take. We're going to edit. No, it's live. And that's where my comfort zone is, to just get my brain connected to my jaw, and hopefully everything flows out right. And I'm able to navigate a conversation as a host, because I always feel that, and I know that this comes across because it's the reality of things. I know my guest, I know the subject, I know how inquisitive I am and what the answers are that I am seeking. And my audience can feel that. They know it. They know that it's genuine. I don't have 20 questions in front of me. Yeah. We're not going through the motions. We're not phoning it in. If a comment is made or something is said by the guest, that will change course. And the audience can feel that. They can tell and see where the ebb and flow is, and how I'm taking right and left turns at a fork in the road or the river, or, as I navigate through this. And if we could achieve that, that's a big deal, right? But if we could achieve that, then I'm happy. And if I'm happy, that's going to come across. The guest knows who I am, right? That they are anticipating that conversational style that we have done for years and years and years on Fade to Black, and they're comfortable with that. And we have this sense of trust of going back and forth that it's going to be a genuine conversation without any questions submitted from the guest or a producer. I'm not wearing, some in-ear monitor where I've got,
somebody telling you,
okay, Jimmy, now ask this question.
Right.
No, that's not what is going on here. So that's Into the Vortex. And the other part about this, which I truly appreciate and respect and love from Gaia, they have given me the leash. They've extended it out and allow me the editorial freedom of thought and conversation to just let it go, let it rip. There are no boundaries here. And as soon as you have that, and here's what's so important about radio, television, the FCC, corporations, sponsors. I've been on both sides of the fence here, where I've been on big networks, the biggest networks, the biggest shows, and you have to self-censor. There's certain zones that you can't go into, and whether it's politics or religion or bad words or anything that's going to freak in, you have fines that can come in, and you have to self-censor. So you're always thinking about that, and it interrupts your freedom of thought. Well, with Into the Vortex, I don't have that.
That's amazing.
There's no red phone that's going to light up. Okay, church, security's on their way. They're going to exit you from the building. I don't have to worry about that. I can just go for it and get to the, hopefully, people always say, ask the hard questions. It's not about that. It's the right question. You don't want to pin somebody in a corner and make them uncomfortable.
Because once they get uncomfortable, they close up. So
they close up.
Yeah,
they close up, just like you're trying to do with me right now. And I will close down. But it's really true. And I know this is a sort of long-winded answer, but most people out there, they don't understand what goes into a production and what I'm thinking about. You do. You've got a network. You host a show. You're also an executive. You're also booking guests, and you're also doing research. Right. And so you understand these are not so subtle things that have to be considered, like at every single moment leading up to the production. And here's the other thing with our shooting schedule. I go in and shoot 4 episodes. So back to back to back to back. Right. So that's 4 wardrobe changes. That's 4 sit downs with a makeup artist. That's got a lunch in the middle. 4 different minds are coming in, 4 different pieces of subject matter where I could be going from ghosts and the paranormal to UFOs to life after death to lost history to Egypt. To whatever, the Illuminati, whatever it may be, these wide-ranging subjects with different people, a different way of communicating, a different personality. And so I've got to go in and sit down and do that over, an 8-10 hour day shooting schedule and still remain dynamic. And I'm able to do that because the guests are great. I'm prepared. I know my subject, and I'm excited. And not to say that after episode 4, I'm not sitting in the green room. Oh, right, there is that. Right. But it's adrenaline and the excitement behind it, and it's so much fun. I'm so happy. Some of the communications. You've asked one question. I've just talked for 20 minutes.
You and Linda are the easiest guest to have on.
It's so true, right? I look forward to having Linda on because it's a night off.
Right,
for me.
right.
Grant Cameron, Danny Sheehan.
Right.
It's just like, so how are you? And that's it. 3 hours.
You just sit back and
just let it run. The communication between Gaia, the individual people there, and the executives, and they have different divisions for the company. Marketing and sales, and production and things like that. And all of the executive producers and the heads, but the heads of divisions, that we're all happy. They're happy. I'm happy. All I can do is give them the best 30, 40 minutes, and then my job's done. I have to back off, and I have to trust them to put everything together and get it out there and have it be something that is presentable to the audience. And we've achieved that for sure.
Well, let me ask you this, and anybody in the chat room, I always ask people if they want to ask a question. Jimmy, please leave it in the chat room, and we'll ask it directly from you through me. But one thing that I really loved about your episodes, like you said earlier, it's a variety of different topics. Was that something, and it's great, it's almost like a singer being able to pick their own songs, because if you don't pick your own songs, you're not going to sing it the way you want to sing it. So picking the topics, how did that process go? I'm sure you had a lot of say in that, and why those topics?
I'm pretty sure about this, that I chose all of the guests. I'm trying to think if there was one or two, there was a mutual decision. If somebody else suggested it, maybe. But I choose that. And so I do something a little, there's some method to the madness. It's not completely shoot from the hip, where you have this umbrella of our community, but underneath that, there are so many different breakouts. So you do have lost history, you have the paranormal, you have the supernatural, you have life after death, you have lost history, you have conspiracy. What is under conspiracy? There's another 50 things there, and on and on and on. So you kind of break that down, and then bring in the best of the best personalities for each one. And as daunting as a season is, going into it, wow, okay, man, there's a lot of work to do. Well, if you just break it down and go, okay, I need 2 or 3 here, 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 and go, and then who is the best of the best for each one of these, and that's how we did it. And we're in the middle of season 2 right now.
Oh my gosh!
Not to let the cat out of the bag, but we are doing the same type of processes, where I don't want to be UFO heavy, UFO centric. I don't want to be consciousness. Science is a big deal to me, and I could do a whole season on just science and physics and astronomy and the universe. I could do a whole season of that, but that's not who I am. I enjoy it. Right? I enjoy the paranormal and the supernatural and ghosts and spirits and entities and all of that. I could do that. Bigfoot, right? I could do a whole season. So I have to, rein it in just a little bit and pump the brakes and go, okay, this is what we're going to do with UFOs this season. This is what we're going to do with Bigfoot, or this is what we're going to do with lost history. I could do a whole season on Egypt.
No, for sure.
Not a problem. But you have to just pull it back, and then what it does do, though, this is the thing. When you break it down like that, it's just the best of the best, right? And I'm able to do that. I've built a little bit of a reputation out there where people want to sit down and have a conversation with me. So, right, it's not I have to go, oh, please do. No.
Yeah.
I'm in a position, certainly with the support of a great company like Gaia, so excited about this, the relationship, where you combine all of those things, and we are able to do absolutely the best of the best of the best. And now here's the other thing. Again, I want you to and the audience to think about far into the future, right? Let's go next year and the year after that. What I envision here, and it may happen sooner than later, is bring in some guests that are outside of our community completely.
I love that.
Actors, right?
I love
musicians, comedians. I may do a politician or two, but outside of our community completely, and sit down and see what makes them tick and what are their thoughts on consciousness and ET and the supernatural. Everybody's got their opinions on that and how that folds over into their life and I hate to use the word mindset again, but how they approach stand-up comedy, how they approach an acting role, how they approach writing music, and is there an influence there? And we can do that with Into the Vortex because we have a pretty wide latitude of what we can do, and I've been given that freedom to do that.
And no, that's perfect. And like I think that makes for the old saying is happy wife, a happy life. And it's the same way with talent. Your talent, if they come in happy and ready to work, it's going to be a great show. I want to take a quick look at the trailer for Into the Vortex. So let's take a look at that.
Is our government in the possession of a crash retrieval that was made not on planet Earth?
We have a pretty good idea where those things were taken. It's not a secret anymore that those things have been retrieved. They've been retrieved all over the world by special teams. They've been taken to the best labs.
The Ukrainian researchers said, we see these UAP under all kinds of visible conditions, a lot of the time in lots of different locations.
We also have the Webb telescope that can look at such an object from a different direction than the observatories on Earth.
The myths are consistent with oftentimes referred to as the gods.
And there's a lot more going on here, not just on this planet, but on other planets.
I think this is the Ark of the Covenant.
There were actually multiple arcs.
History isn't what we've been taught, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
So, Jimmy, I want to ask you this. When you say history can be rewritten, and I think, like Scott Walter and others that have really done the field research, you get to go out in the field more than I do. I'm pretty much in the office and studio a lot. But when you get to sit down and talk to these people that get their fingers dirty and bringing us this new information, the new history that we're seeing, from what you've learned from Into the Vortex, what can we expect to hear in this season of season one?
That's a great question. And when you look at that clip and you think about who is there, Randall Carlson, right?
Yeah.
Avi Loeb, Jacques Vallée, Micah Hanks, and Scott Walter, just in that clip. And the whole season is like that, where you sit. I can't express it enough, Tony. When you sit with Avi Loeb, he doesn't do TV. He does interviews, but he's not going out. And this is, what an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And Randall Carlson, these are big minds. These are very smart people. Scott Walter, it's just incredible, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, my point is, when you have somebody from Harvard, right, you come in, Avi, and we have dinner the night before, and we're sitting at dinner, and I've got Jacques Vallée on one side of me, and Jean-Michel Gaultier, and Avi Loeb, and we're exchanging ideas and talking about these big things where their passion is there. I mean, Avi, we're talking about Harvard, right? The director of the black hole, one of the important scientific minds of our generation, and there's no question about who Avi is. But when you get into the question of contact and ET, right? and you look him in the eye and you listen to his interaction with Jacques Vallée, and I'm literally sitting in the middle of these two. And yeah, of course, I'm a kid in a candy store, but it's me at the center of the hub, of the wheel, of the spoke. You know, I've brought these guys together, and gals, of course, and I've brought them together, and to get them talking back and forth, because they have questions for each other, and I am able to sit there and go, okay, now I know where I'm going with Jacques tomorrow, right? Because I'm hearing that, and I am able to. I'm a sponge, where not only am I, a part of the conversation, but just like with the show, I can steer the conversation, and I can get these two or these three or these four interacting with each other that come from completely different backgrounds. Mm-hmm. They may be at the top of their fields individually, but they don't necessarily communicate with each other or know each other at all. They know who each other, but they haven't had an opportunity, and I can sit there and steer this conversation. And I'm a sponge, and I am absolutely remembering all of it. And I think that's not only is it important for me, but the audience is there for their own personal reasons. I don't know why they're watching the show. I don't know why they've come to Gaia. I don't know why they're researching these subjects, but something personal in their lives is bringing them to us, right? So if they are here and they are seeking those answers, you know what they need? They need to hear from somebody that is in a position of not only respect and respect from their peers, but for them to sit back and go, Avi's on board, right? I'm getting answers from Avi. He's one of us, or Jacques Vallée or Jean-Michel Gaultier or Micah Hanks, where it's a confirmation where they can either maybe go to a friend or family or a husband, a wife, and share with them, okay, this is a professor from Harvard, and this is what he's talking about, and this is why I'm here. It helps the audience know that they've got a team behind them, people with credentials, with respect, and that are very smart, and they're paying attention to not only these subjects, but they're trying to get to the same answers that we seek as well. And that's the challenge, and that's what makes Into the Vortex so cool.
And where did you come up with the name? I mean, I do love the name, but Into the Vortex could mean so many things.
You want all the inside secrets, man.
Well, of course. I'm writing this stuff down for when I get my show. I'm just kidding.
Okay, this is how I hope you do it the same way that I did, because it was amazing. I was on the road, and over a couple of weeks, I was in the middle of a film project, and I had a shooting schedule. I was driving across the desert for a week or so, back and forth. And so I was in the car for 2, 3, 4 hours at a stretch. And so we got the team together back at Gaia, and I think contracts were signed, right? But we had the idea for the show, but we didn't have a name for it. And so,
come on, Jimmy.
we're on this conference call. So I've got 5, 6, 7 people on the other end, and I'm driving through the desert for a couple of hours. And we had the idea for the show and this thing, and we kept coming back to these certain words: tornado, hurricane, right? these big, natural things that, lightning strikes or whatever, that was the essence of that we were going to go for. And we honed in. And so we had, and then it was like the next day, okay, what's everybody got? Now that we got that out of the way, and we went through 3, 4, 5 different things, and we were all very, very close to the same thing. And by committee, we came up with Into the Vortex over a couple of days. But that's how it happened. Yeah, it wasn't like, we just said, let's call it Into the Vortex and move on. No, we put a lot of thought behind it, and it was a team effort. I can't give credit to any one individual or myself. I'm not too sure. We ran it through a filter, and in the end, things got discarded. It could have been called into the hurricane. Or
I like the Vortex better.
Yeah, but anyway, so that was the idea. Being that the Vortex, like the bunker here or the studio at Gaia, where we're getting together and we're talking about these subjects and things, and the whirlwind that goes around it, and the thought process, and so that's what it is, into the Vortex.
Well, I love it, and I do have some questions, if you don't mind, from our chat room.
Mm-hmm.
The first one says, "Ask Jimmy why most researchers have no encounter. Why are there a lot of people that do research?"
Tony, whoever submitted that question, that's your next host,
right?
Over on your network, because that is a great question.
I've noticed that too. Yeah,
I'm so interested in getting that answer from guests. I do it all the time. Have you had a sighting? Have you seen a ghost? Have you seen your mom after she passed away? Did she come back? Whatever it may be.
Right.
And I would say it's about, I think it's a shocking number. I'm going to say 50%. Half of the guests have never had a sighting, have never had a paranormal experience, but yet they're out there trying to figure out what is going on. Now you have to ask yourself why that may be. Leading up to, I've been doing this now for quite a long time. I've been researching UFOs since I was 8 or 9 years old, right? I'm 59. So 50 years I put into this. But it was a good 30 years before I had a sighting, right? And so I don't think that is that unusual. Now, when you have somebody that has written a bunch of books, that is appearing in movies and is TVs and hasn't had a sighting, I think that is just as compelling as to somebody that's been abducted, right? and that's got, that can share that experience. But what would drive somebody so much to go and research this subject? I had David Marler on this week, and David Marler, for those that don't know, he's known as the Black Triangle guy. He's written probably the seminal book on black triangles. And he has probably, I would say, I can say this with confidence, he's got the largest collection of UFO data in the world. And you look at his library and you look at the pictures of it and you see, and it's very nice. It's Better Homes and Gardens, right? It's very nice, very nicely designed and laid out, and looks like any other public library that you would go into. And he's got filing cabinets. He's got the Project Blue Book files. He's got everything. It's just all stacked up and nice and organized, and he's digitizing. And the collections of research that he's gotten from other researchers that have left this earth for the great beyond. And he hasn't had a sighting. He hasn't had a sighting.
Right.
He hasn't, and he is one of the most intelligent. You talk to David, and you see that the lights are completely on. The front porch, the back porch, the attic light, everything. He is right there. Hasn't had a sighting.
But there's also a lot of people that have had encounters that don't ever want to talk about it again.
And that's the exact opposite, and that's a big problem.
Yeah.
And I can only speak from personal experience there. I understand it so well. I had a sleep paralysis thing, and there may or may not have been something in my room, and I don't want to get into the details of that, but happened at 3 o'clock in the morning in Sherman Oaks, right, our neighborhood. And after that, I slept with the lights on and the TV, by the way, for 10 years. I told nobody. I told nobody. I might have shared it with a couple of people, after that, but I didn't talk about it until Fade to Black and Coast to Coast. No, no. You know, and so why would that be? I don't want to be the crazy guy.
Crazy.
You know, I don't want to be that dude. For so many years, I collected and still do, obviously, UFO videos and video cassettes and DVDs and books, huge book and magazines, and I amassed a pretty good collection. But that stuff wasn't out in the open at my house. If I had guests over, you know, that's like my secret porn collection.
Right.
In the
Don't
back
go
of
in
the
that
house.
room.
Right. Don't go in there. And it was something that and if I do that, a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I remember one of the I worked for a company, music electronics company, and was one of the executives there, and never talked about this stuff ever, right? So we're talking business all day long for years, right? And one day I'm walking through the marketing division, and his name is Jeff. Jeff, who's a marketing manager in the back, and I hear as I'm walking through their cubicle area, he turns to one of his artists sitting at a computer next to him, and he turns to him and goes, "Did you see the X-Files last night?" And I just went,
"What?
You watched the X-Files?" Yeah. And the next thing you know, we're talking about UFOs and the Men in Black for a couple of hours, and I'm getting it off my chest, right? I mean, it's like I've never been around this.
Right.
This is great. But my point to that is you never know what people are into because they don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you use something like the X-Files as a gateway drug, right? to get into these conversations. And right after that, this is in the mid-'90s, the Alien Autopsy film came out. And when that came out, it was live on Fox, and they did that, and the videotape was for sale. And I went down to Tower Records. You remember Tower Records used to be right there on Ventura Boulevard, and it was next to my house. So I went into Tower. There's Tower Records and Tower Videos next door. So I would go into Tower, and in the back in the documentary section, they had a whole shelf of UFO video. I bought everything that they had, right? I was and this video, so I go up to the counter. I said, the Alien Autopsy video? He's looking, yeah, I got it right here. Okay, it's going to release. I pay $80. Remember that? $80 for a video day, whatever it was. And I fork over the cash. I order the Alien Autopsy video. And then I have the video comes in. I don't watch it. And I have a Alien Autopsy video watch party at my house. And I had like, I don't know, maybe half a dozen, 6-8 friends come over. And we're there, man. Popcorn, pizza, Chinese food. I mean, we're throwing down, right? And we pop in the videotape and we watch it. That would have never happened ever if it wasn't for that X-Files conversation when I was walking down the hallway, where suddenly I found out that half of the company on that side of the building was all into UFOs. But we just keep that stuff to ourselves.
Well, fortunately, we don't keep it to ourselves anymore. At least you and I and many other people that have been influenced by our experiences. But one experience that you had, and you dedicated a whole show on yours about your trip to Egypt. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the questions in the chat room is, can you talk about the experience and how did it open your eyes, or did it change your thought on the ancient Egypt as we've learned it in history books? And what was your thoughts on all that?
It's another great question. See, you've got show hosts now just lined up. You can start your audition because these are. I'm going to get straight to the question, and I'll tell you why. Because before I went to Egypt, I was asking those questions of my friends and guests on the show that have been to Egypt the same question, right? Now I am the guy that gets asked that question. And I have, I've done hundreds of shows on Egypt, hundreds of guests. And, I've done over 2,000 interviews, right? Wow. Think about that, man. That's a big number.
That's a lot of people.
And so how many of those guests were asked that question? So, man, what was so special about Egypt? Well, Jimmy, because I want to know, and so does everybody else. So let's get straight to it. My expectations of Egypt are the same as everybody else. My expectations, right? The Great Pyramid, the King's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, going in there, lying in the sarcophagus and having this experience, going out to the Sphinx and touching it and getting electrified. And, I had all of these expectations of going to Luxor and Karnak. And although there were a lot of very special things that happened all over Egypt, and I'll share one if you want in a bit. But
yeah, please.
What I came away from Egypt as I've started unpacking this is what I've realized is how much the world sucks and how much the United States, my country that I love the United States. But after you leave Egypt, and you experience the people there and the culture, and you know what you're doing. You're flying back to Los Angeles. You're like, man,
big change.
It just sucked. And it's because of this. And we really need to understand what I'm trying to say here. The United States is 200 years old. That's it. Okay. All right. Well, Jimmy, no, that's not true. It's 300 years old. Whatever. Okay. So, but it's a blip on the radar of time, right? It's very small. Egypt has 5,000 years behind it. So you have 5,000 years of culture, 5,000 years of figuring life out and its meaning. And we don't have that concept here at all.
Right.
And so you go to Egypt and you experience young kids, adults, police, farmers, whatever. Nothing but happiness. You see nothing but smiles. You don't see any fighting. You don't see any arguing. I didn't see a car accident. I didn't see a crime. Cairo, 30 million people, biggest city in the world, right? It's crazy. It's huge. It's congested. It's gnarly. It's also 5,000 years old, right? So, and they've had a chance to mature and know how to act and know how to appreciate life and to be thankful and to be kind. And that was the thing that I came away with that so profoundly affected me, is that there is much more to life than fighting with somebody on social media. There's something more to life than being a troll. Right. There's something more to life than being mean to your neighbor or popping off at the mouth with somebody that is providing you service or whatever it may be. This negative context that so many, not only so many people practice, but they think that it's cool. Mm-hmm. And when you go and you see Egypt, put this in your mind's eye, Tony, and then I'll tell you about a temple or two and some really cool when I saw the light. Right, okay, right. I'll do that. But here's the thing. We've got Billy and I, we led a tour of 80 people. So we had 2 buses. That's rare in Egypt. It's always a bus or a small van. We had 80 people. And in front and in back of these 2 buses, we had police escorts. Okay? All right? And so rolling through the Sahara Desert with this convoy, right, with police and these buses, and we're driving I'm talking about the desert, man. We're 500 miles from Cairo, right? And we're driving through these tiny little villages that are scattered throughout the desert. And you can see the farmhouses. You can see, you know, there's 20, 30, 40, maybe 100 people living in these little things. And we're rolling through, and they can see us from miles away.
I'm sure.
We're the only thing rolling through the desert, right? And a couple of buses and the police and all of this. And I watched it 100 times. People running from the fields to get to the street. Little kids dropping whatever they're doing. The husbands, the wives, the grandparents, all coming up to the edge of the road to smile and wave. And you see that.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, over and over and over. It's like, man, what are we, Princess Diana? You know, and you know what I mean? And to them, to see them smile. I'm talking about, you know, when you see a 2-year-old, you know, little girl on the side of the road with her brother standing there, you know, and just.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, man. When was the last time that happened to you?
Yesterday. No, I was kidding.
Drive up Hollywood Boulevard, you know, drive down Ventura, drive up Sepulveda. When was the last time on Riverside Drive?
It's not a hand. It's usually a finger.
Right. When was the last time somebody said hello to you?
Yeah.
When was the last time somebody said good morning? When was the last time a stranger just came up and said, hey, man, what's up?
Yeah.
No. In Egypt, you get that all day long, period, from everybody. I can't tell you how many cops I went up to. So, machine guns. What's up? Welcome to Egypt.
Wow.
You know, right on, man. Right on. No attitude. And that's what I came away with. All right. So, you want to hear a temple story?
Yeah, I pulled I hope you don't mind. I pulled a few pictures.
There you go. That's Luxor. Man, what'd you do? Go through my phone?
Yeah.
When you were at my house last night?
I had to swipe quickly through a few, though.
Yeah, that's Luxor at night. Okay, now here's the thing. You can sort of see it here. Luxor is in the middle of the city of Luxor. So the temple itself, all the way around it are hotels. It's a city, right? And the Nile River's right there. And so it's a city. It's a city. Families, schools, right? It's a city, and but all around the temple is the normal Luxor, and then the temple is in the middle, and you get this strange. I guess the right word would be like dichotomy. This weird contrast, and this happens all over Egypt, where you look over at a temple, a building. Oh, no, hold on. Let me back up. Look at it this way. You're in Cairo, you're in Giza, you're in Luxor, wherever, Kamambo, and you'll see a luxury condominium, brand new, nice, tasty. And right next to it is a storefront, you know, selling groceries, whatever, doesn't matter, radios, electronics, whatever, storefront. That's 4,000 years old. That's been sitting, you know, in constant occupation for 3,000 or 4,000 years.
Wow.
And you see this, you know how easy it is to see? You go like this. It's everywhere. And it's there at Luxor. Luxor was a very, very moving experience. Go back to that image for a second.
Sure.
Okay, that is the obelisk, and it is I think it is the largest obelisk still standing in the world. There's plenty of Egyptian obelisk around the planet that have been stolen and pillaged and spirited out of the country. We've got one in Central Park, right? I think there's one in Berlin. There's a few in Rome. There's a couple at the Vatican. There's a couple in Paris, right, where they've somehow, some were gifts from different pharaohs and things, but most were just, you know, pillaged and stolen. But that obelisk. All right, now let's look at this for a second. When you walk up next to this thing, it's one piece of solid granite, and the base of it is like 10 feet across.
Holy crap.
And it's, I don't know how many, it's 80 feet. It's 8 stories tall, 80 feet. It's crazy big. And it's carved and it's just majestic, right? And you absorb that. But that's not where my mind goes. I go straight WTF. How did they get that here?
Right.
And then when they did, how did they tip it up right? Right?
Yeah.
How do you what's going on there?
I couldn't even imagine. Even today.
It doesn't, no. Cranes, this, hydraulics. No, I don't think that we could get it done. But it would literally take the Army Corps of Engineers.
Right.
And
can you imagine
big vehicles?
People throwing Jimmy and Tony a rope and said, "Yeah, get that standing up."
Yeah,
on
start pulling. So that came from Aswan, which is not that far from Luxor, right? The famous red granite quarry there, where most of the red granite, it all didn't come from Aswan, but most of it did. They can look at samples of red granite in the Great Pyramid and see exactly where it came from out of the quarry in Aswan or anywhere in the world, or Egypt or whatever. That's what geologists do, right? They study these things. And so Aswan's 500 miles from Giza. And when you go to Aswan, which I did, which was a huge highlight for me, they have an unfinished obelisk there. It's 2,500 tons and it's 153 feet long, 15 stories. And you see this thing. And now like I said, it's like these WTF moments. So you see that, and you see the obelisk at Luxor, and there's one or two at Karnak as well. And you see, and wait a minute. How they didn't have the wheel, Tony. They didn't have horses.
Yeah, right.
They didn't have trees. They have date palms, but that's not wood.
No,
date palm, it's it's not
crumble.
Yeah. So they didn't have trees. So how a boat? Right? You want to tell me? Okay. All right.
But even just to get on a damn boat.
You had boats that could displace 1,000 tons.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's a big boat. Okay. So let's put the boat aside. How did you get it from here out of this ditch that you've carved it out of, a big, so you have to have a chunk of granite on planet Earth big enough to carve the obelisk out of. Right? One piece of unbroken granite that's 100 feet long. So you carve it, you somehow break it loose on the bottom, right? I don't know. What are you, rocking it back and forth? I don't know. You know how you take a pull tab off of the top of the tin can? You rock it back and forth. Are you doing that with this and then breaking it off of the granite? I don't know. And then you're going to lift it out, 1,000 tons. You're going to lift it out and move it somewhere. How? So we, and this is my WTF. This is how my brain works. Now, I love the beauty of it, but I just get into the man side of it. We always think about equipment and things and tank treads and hydraulics and cranes and hard hats and you know what I mean. That's our mind goes there. Engines, and so. We look at it like that with what we understand today. I don't think they did it like that. They did it because it was easy. I don't know what the processes were, Tony, but we certainly don't understand. We can't figure, our thing is today is to go, we couldn't do it. It's impossible. And, we're thinking about our cranes and our, our expertise and how we quarry granite today and how difficult it is. They were doing it with 100-foot-long chunks, 1,000 tons at a time, and they were doing it like it was nothing. There are obelisks all over Egypt. They're all over the world. Somebody carved it, got it out of the ground, and moved it, and we don't know how. without a horse.
Yeah, and I think, that's always been the question, thousands of years of question. And I'm just going to show this one other picture of your crew.
Yes.
And I mean, that looks like an amazing a lot of people that had an amazing time and a great experience. So, and I know here's another one of you and Billy, and
yeah, that's another great picture. And that, I think that is, man, I'm not sure what temple that
I'm sure
is.
hard to keep up.
It might be the Temple of Isis on, that might be on Philae.
Oh, wow.
But that's a great picture. That's Elizabeth Hoekstra and Miss Gomez, who is next to me here. I don't want to, give away who she is and stuff. But anyway, she's a model, right? And very, very smart. But
nice.
I want you to, it's not the four of us that you need to worry about. Look at what is behind us. There are 100 temples in Egypt that are nearly identical to this, the same entryway and the same type of design, right? Now, if you turn around and you walk up to this, what you don't understand when you're looking at these pictures, that's 8 stories tall.
Damn.
That those figures that are carved in the side of this, that's 3 stories tall. It's 30 feet, 40 feet. And it stretches, and you literally, when you get up next to it, you're looking at it like this, you don't understand the size of it. And so now back out. That, can you show the whole picture again? Okay. So the Great Pyramid's amazing, right?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Amazing. Right. That is just as difficult to build. And it is just as ginormous. This temple complex, that square that you're looking at, this repeats all over. This repeats at Abydos and Dendera and Kamambo and Karnak, all over Egypt, this same format, where you have the pillars and the giant statues in this big courtyard square. You walk through this and you walk into the temple itself, it's just ginormous. And you look around and they want to tell us that the pyramid took 20 years and 20,000 people. This took 20 years and 20,000 people too. And there is another 100 of these. They're all over Egypt.
That is crazy.
And how did they get it done? Where not only the workforce and the engineers and the rock and the stonemasons and the quarries and then you have the design itself. You have all the artists that are carving the hieroglyphics and the sculpture into these temple complexes. You have all of that, and then you sit back and you go, well, who was defending the country?
Right.
Who was building the roads? Who was farming? Who was getting the other stuff done? Because obviously the population of Egypt, if you back up, this is my funky mind, Tony, so go with me on this. If we go back 5,000 years ago, which is when the Great Pyramid, the Bent Pyramid and everything else was, the construction started, 2900 BC. That's 5,000 years ago. Okay? All right. You go back and you look at the historical data of the country of Egypt at 3000 BC, the population of the entire country was 500,000 people. That's it. So you cut that in half, 50-50 men and women. Now you've got 250,000 men. Now let's break that down. How many were 5 years old? And how many were 60, right? Where you've got the core group in the middle, able-bodied men, 15 to say 30 years old. Now, out of that 250, what are you talking about? 10%? 15% of that? Okay, so 25,000 able-bodied men that could get all of this done. That's what they are telling us built the pyramid. So if you're saying that 20,000 men built the pyramid over a 20-year period, how was everything else? Where So the entire country was ran by 5-year-old children and
Right.
wives, right? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Now, that's just for the Great Pyramid. But they did this. They built 25 pyramids, just like the Great Pyramid. They built 25 of them in 75 years. You can look it up right there. 2800 BC to 2700 BC, 100-year period. They built Dozier. They built the Red Pyramid. They built the Bent Pyramid. They built Khafre. Yeah. They built Khufu. They built Menkaure. They also built Abydos and Karnak. And, you know, and you just go down the list of these temple sites, and that's no. Yeah. And that's where I call BS on all of this. And I'm not saying I have the answers, but if you go with the Orthodox archaeology and the Egyptologists and the dogma that they have spun to us over the years, and then you go see it for yourself, you're like, nah, man. No, you're not telling us the full story. I don't have the answers, but you're not telling me the truth.
But this is why Into the Vortex is very important, because we at least can get like-minded people to discuss this. And also because, you know, we're out of time, but, you know.
Oh, I thought this was a 3-hour show.
This ain't Fade to Black. Well, now it's a 2-hour show, right? But I mean, we're going to get a chance to discuss this more, because not only Conscious Life Expo, but March 31st and April 1st, we're going to have a Parapod Festival that Jimmy's going to be hosting with me, and being our main speaker for multiple speakers like Linda Moulton Howe, who we're giving a Lifetime Achievement Award. And we're bringing all these people together, you know, Egyptologists and Bigfoot and paranormal and UFO experts, to bring everybody under one roof to give something for everybody. It's like a smorgasbord of information. We hope people come and join us. So,
yeah, that's at the Hyatt Regency in Valencia.
In Valencia, yeah.
On April, it's not an April Fool's joke. This is on April 1st. And I'm really excited about this, Tony. And you've put a lot of work into this, you and your team, for a while now. But this is the first of many, right?
It's an annual event. Yeah, it's
the first of many, and I'm very excited, man. And I can't wait. I get to go up on stage and go, "Hello, Valencia."
Yeah,
and
Jimmy doesn't have to go completely across country. He's actually going to be only like 40 minutes away.
I live down the road. You know, this is my neighborhood, and it's going to be great. And for everybody out there to come to this part of California, it's beautiful. It's so. There's so much to do. It's not just any one thing, but it's a great place, and it's a fun place. And I chose to live here. Tony lives here as well, and this is our hood, and we're able to do something like this, a big event. You know, we got the city behind us, and the media is with us, and this is great to do this in my hometown. It's just awesome.
And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be doing a film festival at the Edwards Theater across the street from Hyatt Regency on Friday, and then Friday night I'm excited about because Ben Hansen's going to be leading a stargazing at the Vasquez Rocks, which, if you check out Vasquez Rocks, there's been legendary TV shows and movies filmed there, and it's also a tribal land, and the tribe has approved us to do a spirit circle and stargazing. So I'm very excited about having them believe in this and know that we're not going to disrespect their land. So,
well, they don't know that I'm going to be there, so they may change
I didn't mention it.
But you know, for Vasquez Rocks, one of my favorite, most iconic scenes in Hollywood history is Star Trek, when Captain Kirk battles the reptilian overlord guy in the rubber suit with the karate chops. Ha ha! and they're awesome. And Kirk karate chops him to the back of the neck. You know, that famous move, flying through the air. Whapak! Lays him out. that's at Vasquez Rocks, and it's one of the best scenes ever. And when you go to Vasquez Rocks, it just all comes back. You've seen them a million times, movies and television, and we're going to do a sky wash in there. It's going to be awesome.
Well, Jimmy, thank you so much. And I know you're still on Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 now, I believe, right?
Yep. Changed it up.
You know, it's good to have a change. It's we do what we do. We love what we love to do, and sometimes we just have to change it up to get that spark back going again. And so, thank you for being you. I remember watching you when I was in kindergarten. I'm just kidding.
Tony, you're the absolute very best, man. Thank you so much, and not only you're a great host, but you give me the opportunity to get on the other side of the mic, and you do it so well. So thank you so much, man. I'll see everybody at Parapod. Conscious Life Expo is coming up, and I'll see everybody this week on Fade to Black.
And what about how do people find out about where do they watch Gaia at what time?
Gaia new episodes are on Monday, so I don't know the next episode. They don't tell me these things. I'll find out just like everybody else does on Monday morning. But Monday, the new episodes release, and then Monday night we kick off another week of Fade to Black, and you can just go to jimmychurchradio.com. Simple enough. Follow me on Twitter at jchurchradio. And everything is always there. And
watch him on TikTok. He does those, dances that, those dances that he gets in his skivvies all the time. No, I'm just kidding.
Man, I don't. I have somebody that runs my TikTok for me.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So you're scaring me. What are they posting?
Oh man, I didn't know that you getting a G-string like that. But that was good.
Oh man, now we got to go and look. Tony, behave, man.
All right. Well, thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Until next time, I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. Take care. Bye. It's been another episode of Truth Be Told. Thank you so much for watching. Recorded live at UBN Go Studios in Burbank, California. Join us on social media. Facebook, Truth Be Told Radio. Instagram, Truth Be Told Paranormal. Go to Truth Be Told Worldwide for more information on upcoming shows.